Hi everybody! In second part of my video on Goldfinch protocol, we will speak about risks and its management. Do you remember in my last video I was telling about auditors' role in the project? So the time has come to deep into their work. Of course, backers can also do this assessment. Firstly, we should look at risk factors like macro, currency and regulatory risk in the country where our potential borrowers make business. Macro risk is a type of political risk that can impact all businesses operating within a country. Macro risk can be political in nature or caused by macroeconomic factors outside of government control. Common examples of macro risk include changes in monetary policy, shifts in the regulatory or tax regime, and political or civil unrest. Macro risk impacts all asset classes that are exposed to a particular country or region. Imagine a country, for example, that has elected a government opposed to foreign influence. Any company that engages in foreign direct investment or has operations within the country would face tremendous macro risk because the newly elected government could expropriate any and all foreign operations regardless of industry. Some of the macroeconomic factors that can influence macro risk include unemployment rates, interest rates, exchange rates, and commodity prices. Let's take as an example particular country to see macro risks at its economy. So, where should we go? Where? Brazil. Brazil? Brazil. Brazil? Yes, Brazil. You know, football, carnival, good food, great weather, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So, 20 hours flying from my hometown Kazan and we are in Brazil. Yes, I haven't slept well because of jet lag. This country is located in South America. It has the population of 213 million people. Brazil's name comes from the pau Brazil, Portuguese for Brazil tree, the country's national tree and a natural resource that played an important role in the economic development of the nation. Brazil's border touches all countries on the South American continent except Chile and Ecuador. Brazil is the fifth largest country in the world by land area and sixth largest by population. Football is by far the most popular sport in Brazil, and the men's national team has won a record 5 World Cup championships. Rio de Janeiro hosts the world's largest carnival annually, held in the first week of March. National currency is Brazil real, and the exchange rate at this moment is 5.5 Brazil reals for one United States dollar. But let's go back and speak on macro risks, and there is a lot to think about. Brazil is the 8th largest economy in the world, but is recovering from a recession in 2015 and 2016 that ranks as the worst in the country's history. In 2017, Brazil's gross domestic product grew 1%, inflation fell to historic lows of 2.9%, and the central bank lowered benchmark interest rates from 13.75% in 2016 to 7%. The economy has been negatively affected by multiple corruption scandals involving private companies and government officials, including the impeachment and conviction of former President Dilma Rousseff in August 2016. Sanctions against the firms involved, some of the largest in Brazil, have limited their business opportunities, producing a ripple effect on associated businesses and contractors, but creating opportunities for foreign companies to step into what had been a closed market. Brazil is a member of the Common Market of the South, Mercosur, a trade bloc that includes Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So what is the strength of Brazil economic? Varied mineral resources and agricultural harvest, large population, well-diversified industry, strong foreign exchange reserve, net creditor in foreign currency. And weaknesses are sensitive fiscal position, infrastructure bottleneck, low level of investment, roughly 18% of gross domestic product, relatively close to foreign trade, export plus imports represent only 28% of gross domestic product, high costs of production, wages, energy, logistics, credit, that harm competitiveness, shortage of qualified labor, inadequate education system. Country's current president, Jair Bolsonaro, is known as COVID dissident. Last interesting occasion with this fact goes through all news and blogs. He didn't vaccinate, so that he had to eat on the street in New York when he had come to United Nations Assembly because New York's restaurants admit entering only with vaccine passports. So their delegation took pizza and ate it outside. You saw that photos, I think. And the situation with COVID is not that good in Brazil. This also had bad macro impact on economics because investors cannot truly evaluate COVID's struggling situation in Brazil. Also, country's problem is the high level of poverty. I guess everybody knows about Brazilian favelas and criminal, which is the real problem of government. This problem also affects on economics because when it is tremendous stratification between poor and rich, unrests and even revolution can occur and change the whole economic phase. For example, new government can nationalize all the businesses in the country. So foreign investments can be lost, and it is a great macro risk. Although Brazil is a rich country with a lot of natural resources and large population with diversified economics, there is a great risk of macroeconomic changes in consequence of bad political administration, corruption, and social level of stratification between poor and rich. So all these risks should be concerned and managed when deciding on lending to this country. And we fly back and speak about currency risks. So we fly back and speak about currency risks. Currency risk refers to the losses that an international financial transaction may incur due to currency fluctuations. Foreign exchange risk arises when a company engages in financial transactions denominated in a currency other than the currency where that company is based. Foreign exchange risk can also affect investors who trade in international markets and businesses engaged in the import-export of products or services to multiple countries. So let us try to give an example on how currency risk can affect borrowing at Goldfinch protocol. Goldfinch protocol lends crypto to a Russian company which rents business class cars for business taxi in Moscow. The rental company takes loan of 5 million USDC and buys 75 Mercedes-Benz E-Class, around $66,000 for each car. Then it rents this car to a person for 6,000 Russian rubles a day. The exchange rate between USDC and Russian ruble is 73 rubles to 1 USDC at the moment of borrowing. The borrowing term is 5 years. The interest rate is 20% annual. So the borrower has to repay around $166,000 per month. While the exchange rate is 73 rubles per dollar, the borrower's income is 6,000 rubles per car. Multiply on 75 cars and multiply on 30 days and divide on 72 rubles per dollar exchange rate. So the borrower's income is $184,000. He can comfortably repay his debt monthly and have his own revenue of $18,000. But if it happens due to unforeseen circumstances, the value of Russian ruble depreciates versus the USD and starts to exchange at rate 100 rubles per dollar. In this case, the borrower still have everyday payment of 6,000 rubles per car, but in dollar he has only $135,000 a month. So he has net loss as $31,000 a month. And if this situation longs for a while, the borrower will not be able to repay the whole amount and may default. That is why it is very important to take into account currency risks. Regulatory risk is the risk that a change in laws and regulations will materially impact a security, business sector, or market. A change in laws or regulations made by the government or a regulatory body can increase the cost of operating a business, reduce the attractiveness of an investment, or change the competitive landscape in a given business sector. In extreme cases, such changes can destroy a company's business model. Examples of regulatory risk. One sector facing significant regulatory risk in the area of antitrust enforcement is big tech, including Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Apple. This is largely the result of a growing public backlash over their enormous and still growing market power and social influence. Managing regulatory risk involves forward-looking strategic thinking as well as careful monitoring of public opinion and the regulatory processes in a business-given sector. Compliance risk, on the other hand, involves knowledge of existing laws and regulations and more systematic approach to verifying that the company is compliant with all them. In this video, we spoke about macro, currency, and regulatory risks that can affect the decision on lending crypto. I hope you like it. In my next video, I will try to speak about financial and portfolio analysis of borrowers. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video was useful for Goldfinch community. Bye.